Okay. All right. Oh, and then before we get started here, so Monday we're gonna have a quiz on lesson 1 and 2. Keep that in mind. 20-minute, 10-question quiz. So just include everything we've went over so far with Tetris. And that's about it. Nothing too fancy. All right, so for the crab, so let's get started. We're going to bring in our images to our reference panel here. So there's a crab and then there's a palm tree. All right, and what we want to do, our objective here is to see if we can get a better picture of this. Is to have this crab cut out of here and crawling down the palm tree. All right, so it's a couple of steps here. First, what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a composition so I can get started. So composition, new composition. Let's make this one 30 seconds. All right, any background color. And then I'm just going to call it the crab masking composition. All right, and then make sure it's this standard HDTV 1080 with 24 frames per second. Hit OK. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to proceed to cut up this crab into different shapes here. Alright, so you can kind of see the segments here. It's a good couple. We have the body, we have the upper arms, middle arms, and the claws, and of course the moving pincher here. We're not going to worry about the antenna so much. We'll go ahead and not mask those out, but buff them out. And then we can add our own antenna after the fact. Alright, and the way I start this, I'm going to start using what's called the shape masking. So with the layer selected here, I'll come up here to my pen tool. Alright, well before I get started here, I want to master layer real quick so I can copy and paste this as much as needed. So go ahead and make a duplicate, then hide that one. Go to this top one that's viewable. I'm going to start cutting out the crab in pieces here. Everybody following so far? Is it going to do what? Yeah, when you click it and drag it into the composition that we made, the 30-second composition. When you pull it down, does it show up? It does show up. Okay. All right, cool. So then off to our pen tool. All right, going to zoom in. A little bit here, and then what I'm just going to do, while my layer is selected down here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line right around this segment here. Right. Nothing too fancy. You can use multiple dots. We don't have to use beveling or anything like that. I mean, excuse me, the Bezier curves. unless you want to. If you misclick and start a new curve, just click on the last point you had, and then it'll automatically start again for you. Alright, and then once you make a full circle, it should automatically cut it out for you. And that's what we call a shape mask. Alright, so what I can do now is come down to this layer, rename it. I'll call it the, what is it, the left. Call it left, the left hand, or left segment, number 3. Alright. You don't have to do this now, but I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this anchor point right about here, as if it's a joint right there. Alright, I'll come down here, use the copy I made to make another copy, turn that one on, turn the others off, then I can go ahead and cut out this pincher here. Alright. You make a full circle, and it should do it automatically. Go ahead and cut out those two parts. Make sure they're independent layers there. Oh, don't leave it as is. Control Z. Because we want to see how it lines up with everything else. It's good. Correct. And where's G dot? Yeah, we don't do that in class. Come on. So actually, not the and they need to do the pencil. Yeah, the pincher. Pincher would be next.
We got a different
Yeah, different layer. So each part gets its own layer. All right. And keep in mind, we're going to need our names, very distinct names, that we can tell what's what from the list here. All right. So what I'm doing is this one is the third segment of the left arm. Second segment, this will be the first segment of the left arm, etc., etc. always go back and make adjustments as needed. All right, so let's get the arm, and then we'll skip ahead a couple of steps. Essentially, we want to do this to every part of the crab, but just for demonstration purposes, we'll start. We'll start on the next step after we get the whole arm there. So I got this is 4 different pieces so far. It'll take about 5 minutes to go ahead and iron that out. Okay. Oh, well, 3 more minutes. Okay. We got an arm. Did we mess around with?
So we're going to stretch it out. This is why we follow the class. Right? We're going to delete that. Delete the layer. Click and drag it back in. Then go ahead and make a copy. And master copy. And copy of the layer. Okay. Then for that top layer there, I'm going to start cutting out segments. And to do that, just put layer selected, use the pen tool, draw a line, around the segment. And that's that. Well, we'll do that. Let's go ahead and hide that bottom layer. Let's see what happens. Let's select that top layer again. Let's select the top layer again. And yeah, I'm going to mask out each segment. One per layer.
Okay, all right, so let's move on to the next steps here. All right, so we should have at least 4 different segments here. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to our pen behind tool, which you use to move anchor points. We're going to come in here and then we want to try to put that anchor point at a good point where we can rotate it so it mimics the joint rotation. All right. So for the pincer here, it seems like it works best a little out this way so that it curls in and then the 2 tips can meet. All right. So I'm going to go to my rotation tool. I can rotate it, and then it meets up pretty well, right about there. All right, hit Control Z to get it back in position. And then for this guy, I'm gonna rotate this one about a little bit, and yeah, that works pretty good right about here. All right. Control Z back into position, and just go up the line and test them out as you get them in place. And we don't need too much movement. We just want a little bit of wiggle room, right? Since crabs don't move that much, anyways. All right, so right about here, it looks good. Okay, and then once we have the anchors in position for each one. All right, so right here for the top, right here for the middle, hand right here, and then the pincher a little outward that way. What we can do is we come down here and make sure our layers are in the right stacking position. All right, and what that means is that we want the, of course, the ones closer or up on top of the other segments, we want those to show through well before these other ones do. All right, so this top part will be at the very top. The very top of the stacking order. This will be on top of everything else except for that one. So we'll put that as second in place right here. And hand is going to be right underneath there. All right, I got a second part for the overlapping here. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. And then the pincher, for now, let's go ahead and put that underneath everything. So that'll fold right into there. And again, we can check real quick. Make sure things look the way they should. All right, cool. All right, and so our next gig will be parenting these guys together. So making a puppet. And as you can imagine, this shoulder part controls everything. So every time this rotates, everything else should rotate with it. And then so on and so forth. So the way we do that is we're going to go ahead and select that. Come down here to my layers. Right, and we can start using pigtailing. So I want this piece right under this one to connect to the upper arm. So I'm going to take the pigtail from the call it parenting. So it's like a parent and a child, right? The child always follows the parent. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the pigtail from the child and link it up to the parent. And if it worked, then we come up here to the parent. When we move that, the child moves with it, while still being able to rotate the child independently there. All right, So let's go ahead and finish parenting up the rest of these. So I got my left arm here. This guy to the left arm. Then the pincher to the arm here. Alright, so looks like everything's working the way it should here. Yep. Alright, and then just as an extra minor step, so when I pull in this pincher here, it should overlap at parts, but only at parts here. When I bring this in, it comes underneath this part. It looks a little off, right? So what we can do, and this will be optional at this point, but what we can do is we can create a second mask to just mask out the part that overlays the other part of the arm here. And we can parent that one to the original pincher. Alright, and so once I turn that on, if I can get a hold of it. There we go. Alright, and then once I turn that on, then that new masking here overlaps just the parts I want it to overlap, but it still goes underneath the original parts here. So it looks a little more convincing. All right. So I'll go over this long weekend. We don't have class on Monday, so I'll see everybody on Wednesday. But let's go ahead and let's mask out everything on the crab. Let's not worry about getting the anchor points and getting everything parented just yet, but we want mask individual layer for each segment part. So we're talking about the back. These here are back legs. All right, crabs have 3 legs on each side. All right, so each segment for the leg. We got the midsection. We got the other arm. And that's about it. That's about it. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
What I just figured out is that it was like for parenting, that go up.
So the parent, you take the pigtail
Yeah.
for the child, and then you bring it to the parent, right? So the parent controls the child.
You start with the child. and then
Yeah, right, right. All right, and then of course, test it out, see if it works. But again, I won't be looking for that part. If you want to knock it out, help yourself. But just the masking of all the segments.
all the body parts.
Yeah, by next Wednesday. All right, cool. And then the quiz. Be prepared for the quiz. Lesson 2 and lesson 1 in the book.
Quiz on Monday or Wednesday?
We don't meet Monday. Labor Day. It's next Monday. So Wednesday will be the quiz. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. I hope you have a great weekend, a great week. And I'll see you then, man.